I see both teams filling out cards. You know what that means? We've got a trade. Our very own Adam Schefter has more to say about this pick.
He was an offensive lineman that didn't get a lot of attention in the draft process until after the All-Star game. He was matched up against one of the top defensive linemen in the draft this year, and he straight up stonewalled him. They were calling blitz and showing heavy fronts all game, but he had him blocked step for step the whole game. It was the kind of performance that can send a lineman's draft stock skyrocketing, and it looks to have earned him a spot on the team. We'll see if he can be the blocker the team expects him to be after shutting down one of the better defensive linemen in this class.
The Bills are now on the clock.
The Panthers are now on the clock. The Giants are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Packers are now on the clock. The Titans are now on the clock.
Let's go to Shefty now with more on Stanton.
Like football, rugby's a sport that's played with guys of all shapes and sizes. In his case, he was one of the big guys pushing and pulling blocks in the center of the pitch. He was playing rugby for a university in Australia before he was recruited to transfer and play football for 2 seasons here in America. His first year was spent adjusting to the game, getting used to the different rules and how to play his position properly. The guy even had to adjust how he tackled now that he had. But his second year is really where we started to see what he could potentially do. He's a physical player at the line of scrimmage. The team was able to pick up a good addition to its line with a bit of an interesting history.
Pick's been made. Let's go to Adam Schefter to hear more about the player.
If you read Matt Miller's weekly draft stock report, you've seen this kid's name mentioned almost every week. He started the season relatively quiet, but each game he showed more and more of what scouts love to see. No doubt about it, this kid plays with heart and he plays tough. Watching him on the field, you can clearly see him go 100% and never waver. And on the sidelines, he looks like a natural leader, firing up his teammates or keeping them composed when necessary. I can see why scouts like Matt Miller have fallen in love with him. The coach and players have to be excited to have him on the team now.
The Browns are now on the clock. The Chargers are now on the clock. All right, now that the pick's in, let's go to Adam. Adam, what can you tell us about this guy?
He was an exciting player to watch in college, and the combine was just a reminder of how explosive he can be. Judging by his 40 times in broad jump, he has the explosiveness and lower body strength to excel as a running back in the NFL. Matt Miller was surprised by just how strong his legs were and told me that he had one of the best vertical and broad jump numbers of any player the past few years. And while running backs aren't as valued as they used to be, he's one of those rare talents that you can't pass up. I think he has what it takes to be a real workhorse for this team, and he should be an immediate upgrade to their running game.
The Cowboys are now on the clock. The Chargers are now on the clock. The Saints are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock. The Eagles are now on the clock. Eagles have just made Atkins their guy. Let's hear more about him from Adam Schefter.
He got the attention of scouts pretty quickly when he had a game-winning catch that most receivers would have trouble bringing in. With one outstretched hand, he caught a pass that looked like it was about to sail out of the back of the end zone. He proved that even the big guys can make some incredible plays with their hands. And in a league where receiving tight ends are becoming a premium, it's no wonder this team took him here.
The Rams are now on the clock. All right, let's go to Adam Schefter, who's got more on this pick.
He was always a player who cared about academics, and that couldn't have been made any more clear when he decided to forego his senior season in order to take on more classes. His goal was to graduate before entering the NFL draft, and at the sacrifice of his final year of football eligibility, he was able to pull it off. The decision left some experts scratching their heads, but guys like Matt Miller saw it as a smart move to stay injury-free and remove the distraction of getting his diploma once he went pro. At least with the degree, he has a backup job now in case this whole football thing doesn't work out for him.
The Falcons are now on the clock. Falcons pick is in. Adam, give us the rundown.
Matt Miller was glued to the ongoing soap opera that was his story this season. A feared pass rusher, he couldn't quite seem to play with the same intensity on a week-to-week basis. Some weeks he looked absolutely unstoppable, terrorizing opposing quarterbacks. Others he looked out of place, struggling to make any sort of impact, even taking himself out of the game multiple times in fits of frustration. Some GMs I spoke to felt that his lack of consistency was due to a lack of maturity, something that can be easily addressed by the right coaching staff. This pick could have tremendous upside or could end up as a what could have been story. It should be interesting to see how this saga plays out.
The Colts pick is in. Adam, give us the rundown.
He's the type of offensive lineman that doesn't get mentioned often by the commentators, but when they do, it's complimentary. He's a smart, big guy who knows how to play mistake-free at the line. In fact, he won a stretch of games this season in which he didn't allow a single sack. That's an impressive feat for any college offensive lineman, and it's no wonder to see a team take him. He's going to have to adjust to the larger size and strength of NFL defensive linemen, but I think his intangibles are stronger than any lineman in this class.
The Dolphins are now on the clock.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a trade.
The Bengals are now on the clock. The Broncos are now on the clock. The Jets are now on the clock. The Dolphins are now on the clock. The Seahawks are now on the clock. The Raiders are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Patriots are now on the clock. The Giants are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Packers are now on the clock. Adam Schefter with the inside scoop on Watson. Elementary?
He was a tight end who really needed a good offseason to help his stock, but it just never happened for him. It was clear through all-star practices and game day that he has issues moving his feet when blocking at the line. He played more of the H-back receiver role in school, so that may be one reason why he struggled on the line. However, he didn't do much as a receiver either, failing to get separation from the linebackers. He's going to need a lot of coaching on his technique, and it looks like this team is prepared to give it to him.
The Ravens are now on the clock. The Browns are now on the clock. Let's go to Adam Schefter now, who's got more to say about the Browns' latest pick.
Once thought of as a top 3 offensive line pick in the draft, a series of poor performances that saw him miss several routine blocks and surrender multiple sacks had most scouts losing interest. Ross Tucker felt that he simply fell into some bad habits with his footwork, citing a lack of focus that sometimes happens when a young kid with talent begins reading his own press clippings and becomes enamored with where he'll land in the NFL. Tucker may have been onto something regarding him reading the press clippings. After seeing reports of his draft stock slipping, he put on a performance at the Combine that turned many ahead. Not often are you granted a second chance, and that's exactly what he's received by being drafted. His new team is hoping he'll make the best of it.
The Cowboys are now on the clock. The Chargers are now on the clock. The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Chiefs are now on the clock. The Eagles are now on the clock. The Lions are now on the clock. The Raiders are now on the clock. The Saints are now on the clock. The Texans are now on the clock. The Steelers are now on the clock. The Falcons are now on the clock. The Colts are now on the clock.